Hi, Christy here. I'm in my Akashic records again, and I want to respond to a wonderful question that was submitted on one of my previous videos, and I want to make sure that I get it correctly, and I'm going to explore this in the records. The video was about cruelty, and the question is how to react to cruelty in a way that is most beneficial for both parties, the victim and the one that causes pain, which is a great question. So let me just look at what the records have to say about this, what they're showing me. They're really keying in that there are different levels of cruelty. So it could be, a snide remark is so much different than a crime against humanity, right? There's a massive spectrum of degree of pain, if you will, degree of malice, the amount of destruction that something can cause. So there's really a lot about how we respond in words, in our thoughts, and in our words, and in our deeds. And so it ideally is commensurate with whatever has gone on. It's not going to be perfect, of course, but the main thing that they're really emphasizing is to stay away from thoughts of revenge and actions of revenge, because it doesn't help anyone. It brings in an energy that's really negative, and in a way you are becoming a perpetrator yourself then. So on the one hand, if you're thinking about someone who does something, against humanity, the person needs to be stopped. But it's sort of the feeling sense of whether we go down that road. I'm supposed to have this thing muted. I'm getting things saying emails coming in. Let me go back on Do Not Disturb. Thought I was on there already. All right, there we go. So really it's about being clear that people are always doing their best, even when their best is horrific, and not expecting reality to not be what it is. And then behaving appropriately toward people that harm us. So say we have a friend who's always mean to us. Always, always, always mean to us. Why do we consider them a friend? It's appropriate to say, this person does not have my best interests at heart. I need to distance from them. That doesn't mean we have to say they're horrible people. I hope something, I hope a brick falls on their head, no. It's just, wow, that doesn't work for me, and I need to take care of myself. Do we need to go out on social media and broadcast what a horrible person they are? No. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The arrow we shoot passes through us first. And that's a problem, because it just creates more of that negative energy, more of the tension between people, which leads to this conflict that's ongoing. Again, I'm not talking about extreme cases where intervention is absolutely needed. This is more the energy of taking care of yourself in the context of what has happened to you. So beneficial for both parties, the victim and the one who causes pain. It's interesting looking in here, because the victim, we kind of understand that the tender care that's needed. But the person that's the one who causes pain, hurt people, right? So they somehow landed in a place where this felt right for them. So there's an opportunity here for compassion around their suffering, around their lack of awareness, around their own wounds that are clearly being acted out. So it's not like, oh, I love this person, they're the greatest, turn the other cheek so I can get the other cheek smacked. It's more, how can I open my heart to all of humanity, including those that are hurting so much that they want to turn around and hurt others. And knowing that that cycle continues each time we become the hurter. And instead of taking tender care of how we are hurt. Let me just see if there's anything else here. All right, so they're talking about the 5 causes and conditions in the Akashic records, which are past lives, ancestral patterns, family of origin, childhood, and environment. Like all 5 of those contribute to how much cruelty we have experienced and how much cruelty we feel driven to put out in the world. And ideally, we heal those things over our lifetime. And we learn, like, those things don't feel good. But if you have an unhealed trauma from a past lifetime that you've brought in, hoping to resolve in this lifetime and you haven't done it, or you have an ancestral line where, abuse was passed down generation after generation, it can be very challenging to be the one that finally turns things around. But that's our aspiration, is to keep working on moving things through our system, both personally, in our family systems, in our government systems. Like, as you move out, like we want collectively to grow and evolve and become better humans. That's ideally what we're trying to do when we incarnate. So those 5 causes and conditions are there, but then it becomes, how do we respond in a way that's mindful, heartful, from a place that really feels better instead of a place that feels temporarily better. Because if you think about revenge, there's this moment of like, yeah, I one-upped, I'm the winner, but it's very fleeting. It just lasts temporarily, unless we keep like generating, like we can keep telling ourselves, oh, this feels better, but it really doesn't. It really harms us. Again, the arrow going through us, having that happen over and over again is sort of a track that can be self-sustaining, but is not ever really nourishing. So how can we feel more nourished, more taken care of, safer? There's a bunch of different levels in which this can be helpful for us. And of course, tending to our own feelings is so key in all of this. And feelings of others. I mean, there might be some sense of, oh, I have had this experience with this person, now it's my job to prevent other people from having this experience, which really isn't. Unless it's something, of course, like, you have a child and you've been abused by your father and you think the child could be abused by your father, that kind of thing, like a legacy sort of thing. But in terms of the entire world being safe from someone, it's hard, unless, extreme measures are taken. If it's a case of, extreme abuse, maybe the person gets incarcerated. But looking in here generally, it's part of this is appropriate responsibility. What is mine to do? What is not mine to do? And we learn that over time, often by doing things that are not appropriately responsible, either by not stepping up or overstepping. So we're in this continuous course correction. Okay, well, I hope this has been somewhat helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments below. If you have any comments or questions about what I've just shared, love to hear them. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. In the meantime, please go be brilliant.